Good morning and welcome to More Tea Minister. My name is Ian. You'll note that once again I am not wearing my clerical collar. That's because, thanks to the magic of YouTube and recording in advance, I am recording this video on Halloween, even though it's going to come out, if we're spared, on Sunday. And as I explained in the previous video, which is also being filmed but released on Halloween, my son has borrowed my only ironed clerical shirt and clerical collar for his school's Halloween party. So I expect there to be a great deal of chaos, all thanks to that. So today we are looking at, once again, at a Oolong from Taiwan. However, the difference is that this time we're not looking at a green Oolong, although the tea in question is of a low oxidation. We're looking at a charcoal roasted Oolong. The vendor for this tea is Wat Cha, and I have to commend Wat Cha on the amount of detail that they provided on their website about this tea. I won't refer to the packaging except to explain myself. I bought a larger portion, but I also bought a 25-gram portion which I'd intended to age, but I figured that it would be ideal to provide me with a second review today without opening up the much bigger package. So that's why I'm not going to refer much to the packaging. However, looking at Wat Cha's own website, and he'll excuse me if I actually read directly from this to explain what's going on, there's information here about the tea's flavor profile. We're expecting a distinct charcoal aroma and taste, well balanced, smooth sweetness and warm taste. It's a traditional charcoal roasting, which means the tea is stuffed into a bamboo, then it's roasted over a charcoal-fired pit. That is very definitely not how it's done on the more industrial scale nowadays, and it's a process that can take days. So smooth texture, mineral and sweet roast notes, and a non-dominant roast. In other words, the flavor isn't just going to be the smoke from the charcoal roasting. It's from the Nantou County in Taiwan. The area is Long Yan Ling. Forgive me, anybody who knows how that's meant to be pronounced. The altitude is between 650 and 800 meters. Now, this is where we get to the meat of the discussion. The cultivar is Qingxin, and I have ordered a few teas of Qingxin to go along with ones I already have, because I'd like to showcase what growing a cultivar in a different country does to the flavor profile, also differences in how it's processed. Qingxin is often used for green oolongs, but in this case it's a green oolong. It's 15 to 20% oxidation, I should point out, and then it's charcoal roasted. So it's a very versatile tea, and the roasting level is medium level 5 to 6. The brewing parameters are, I've taken it to be the average of 1 gram to 100 mils of water, 95 degrees centigrade. Brew for quite a short period of time, only 2 to 3 minutes, and I think that's to avoid getting too much smoke. So let's first of all take a smell of the leaves. There is a little bit of sweetness and no smokiness as such, but it has the smell of something that's been baked, which is another word for how the roasting tea anyway. But there's a slightly baked quality, which I am going to assume is actual caramelization of the sugars inside the tea. That's certainly how it comes across. That's 5 grams all weighed out in advance. I'm going to brew this in a Western style, following the parameters set by Wat Cha. I am tempted to brew this in a Gongfu style, just as I am with the Habre or Red Panda Oolong that we also looked at. So, before we carry on talking about this anymore, let's get everything set up. Pre-warmed teapot, so that's all sorted. Once again, it's on the weighing scales, so I get an accurate amount of water. For anybody who watches the Habre video, I didn't stir the leaves, and that was a mistake because compared to a green oolong, this is a rolled oolong as well, but the leaves don't unfurl, in my experience, with a roasted oolong without some assistance, without a bit of stirring. So let's get this to our 500 mils, or as close as we can given the nature of things. There we go. It's only 6 grams over. That's not too bad. Let's get that on, and I will set the timer for, if it's 2 to 3 minutes, we will give it 3 minutes. Once the technology behaves itself, and there we go. I said a moment ago what I would like to do, what I plan to do, is to look at this cultivar of Qi Qing Xin in its different guises, whether it's low oxidation or higher oxidation, whether it's grown in Taiwan or whether it's grown in China, whether it's unroasted, whether it's roasted. I did a video a few weeks ago now called Choices, and although it was ostensibly to allow would-be customers of tea to make an informed decision, what I was really doing was setting out my own mental processes. I've always had a slightly completist attitude to things that I collect or things that I'm interested in, and over the years that's been thankfully something I've been able to bring into control, but it still manifests itself in that question of, I'm just going to give this a stir, in the sense of try different samples of things. That's me back again. That was the first time that's happened, but that was the postman at the door. So I was disturbed by the postman. Ironically, there's another package of tea. I might do an unboxing in a moment. And I got a CD as well. I'm very interested in medieval Renaissance music, so nobody may ever get to see this. But this is a CD based on the music from the Cancionero de Palacio, which hasn't been out for very long, and I wanted to grab a copy. And as I say, there's a packet of tea there as well. Because of that, just as I came back in, the time had finished, so I thought it was important to get the tea poured out before it overstewed. It's actually brewed rather well. This is one of the leaves that fell out of the teapot. I didn't go fishing. You can see how well that has unfurled, and that's only after 3 minutes. That may be another reason for a relatively short brewing if the tea is going to unfurl that well. The colour is a nice kind of bronze colour. Not sure what's the best angle for you to see. There you go, that's better. Quite pale. I would still give it a sort of a bronze tinge, maybe. But what's the smell? There's a lovely sweet smell. Let's fill in. Oh yeah, that's sweet. It's almost floral. I wonder if, yeah, there's a bit of bakedness, that kind of caramelization. But there's a wonderful floral smell. I wonder if that is the flavor profile, that aspect that the charcoal roasting has brought to the surface and locked in. Remember, we were talking about why tea is roasted, and it's not just to add something to the flavor, but it can often be there to highlight some particular aspect. The smell is fabulous. Funnily enough, on the cup, it's not quite as strong as normal. That's incredibly smooth. It's not as strong on the taste as it is as a smell. It's incredibly smooth. It's floral, and it's fruity, and it's baked. It doesn't have quite the sort of plum pudding or fruit crumble aspect that the medium roast Ben Shan had. It is something different, but then again, this isn't Gong Fu, so all the different aspects are all brought out at the same time. This is definitely worth doing a Gong Fu review. I might actually do it with less water. If I was doing it Western style, I think I would do it with a touch less water. But the taste is fruity and it's floral and there's a baked quality and a sweet quality. The charcoal has nowhere near the sort of effect that I thought it would. I really thought the charcoal would come to the fore there, but it hasn't. That's absolutely fantastic. So, what can we say about this tea? Well, charcoal tea is charcoal roasted tea, not necessarily, and this artisan level is very easy to get hold of. Tea from this cultivar Shin is also very easy to get hold of. And as you can see, it was easy to brew, just following the vendor's parameters. All in all, and the taste is absolutely wonderful. Floral, fruity, sweet, and baked, but light. I can't really compare it to something. If it was a fruit crumble, it would be more like an apple than or a pear, maybe, rather than something like a plum or a rhubarb. It doesn't have a dark fruit quality to it. That really surprises me. The tea has really well unfurled, so it's not a question of needing to extract more flavor. As I say, that's the leaves pretty much unfurled already. This video is going to be very long thanks to that interruption, so I will leave it there. Heartily recommended. So that just leaves me to say happy steeping and God bless.